always loved spending time outdoors, and particularly in beautiful wilderness spaces. I find that they help me tap into a sense of wonder and appreciation about the world we live in. I have a distinct memory of a trip that I went on as a teenager with my school, where we camped outside in the winter. True, it was some very nice insulated tents with wooden floors, but it was camping. There was no running water, and we traveled by cross-country skis and dog sleds. It was very cool. Each morning, we would gather together right by our campsite on a frozen lake. We were a Jewish group, so we would each take out our talit and tefillin, and we'd daven together. Don't worry, we put our coats on over the tefillin as soon as it was on. Like, it was okay, we didn't freeze. And we would sing the Psalms of Psukei de Zimra, praising the natural beauty of the world in the middle of this frozen lake, surrounded by evergreen trees, removed from the distractions of civilization. It was amazing. The combination of the pristine surroundings with our coming together in that moment as a group of Jews reciting our prayers was a really profound experience. It was a moment of awe and appreciation and belonging in a beautiful place that I will always take with me. Now, it's not necessary to be in the middle of a frozen lake in a place that is inaccessible except by skis or dog sled in order to have a spiritual experience. After all, there are beautiful places all around us, and we can find opportunities for moments of connection and meaning practically anywhere. As Jews, our tradition tends to place a stronger focus on sacred time than sacred space, which means that we have the opportunity to have spiritual moments wherever we may be. But I think that all of us have found that at the same time, some places may feel more conducive than others to a profound, connected, or spiritual experience. The rabbis, too, try to reconcile their conviction that God can be accessed anywhere with their experience of certain places as being more spiritual than others. The subject comes up when they discuss this week's Torah portion, Parshat Truma, in which God commands Moses to instruct the people to build a mishkan, a portable tabernacle, which will allow God to dwell among the people. A midrash says, when the Holy Blessed One said to Moses, "Make me a dwelling place," Moses was shocked and taken aback. Moses said, "The glory of the Holy Blessed One fills the whole universe." And God says, "Make me a dwelling place?" In other words, Moses knows that God exists everywhere. Given that, he says, what does it mean for God to exist in a particular space? It doesn't make sense that we would need a particular space to find God. So how does the Midrash answer the question? In the Midrash, God says basically, I am God. I'm different from humans. I can exist everywhere all at once, and I can also, at the same time, concentrate my presence to fit a very small space, even as small as 1 square cubit. Cubit's about this long. Rabbi Eli Confer comments on this midrash, offering an interpretation of why God would want to concentrate God's presence in a small space. It's hard to find moments of connection, moments of faith, moments of spirituality. It's hard to experience an amorphous God, even if God is everywhere. And so by creating spaces where humans can more easily access the divine, God is giving us a gift. God is making it easier for us to connect more strongly to God's presence. Now, if you're comfortable thinking about God as a presence in this world, this may be a meaningful notion, but can this be meaningful even if we don't have a sense of God in that way? Or even if we don't believe in God at all? What else might it mean to have a holy space or a place where we may have spiritual experiences? Former Chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary, Arnie Eisen, studied American Jews who go to shul. And he learned something fascinating. He found that of those who go to synagogue, many believe in God. But many people who both believe in God and attend synagogue regularly don't connect the two. Jews come to shul for many reasons, but even those who believe in God don't tend to list God as one of their reasons to come to shul. One person who was interviewed, named Lee, says, "People ask me why, if I'm not religious, I go to shul. It's the only time of the week that I truly get lost in thought for 3 hours and let my mind wander and get caught up in the melodies. My week is not complete unless I go to shul on Saturday morning." Lee says he's not religious, but this experience sounds like a profound one, where Lee is able to connect with himself and his community. Some might even call it a spiritual experience. Now, on this cold and somewhat snowy weekend, those of us who are here in person put in some extra effort to get here, and those who are joining us remotely have also made a point of being here. And so I think it's worth reflecting on this question. Why do we come here to shul? Do we think of this place as special in some way? And how or why? I'm going to turn to you. We can take a few moments. Got a microphone. What do you have to say? Why are you here? What are we doing here? Don't say nothing.
Well, one reason that I'm here is connection to the Jewish community at large. That this is the one time of the week where I know that I can see people, my fellow Jews, my congregation, my community, all in one place, and that's worth a lot.
So you said Jewish community writ large, but you're also talking about your community, right? That's a meaningful thing. Your friends and the people who maybe aren't your friends, but are part of your community who are important to you. Okay. Who else? Donina.
It's very odd because this morning before I left for shul, I said to my husband, Jonathan, let me tell you why I'm going to shul. I listed a few reasons, but one of them was I feel so unsettled at the moment. It's a way I'm hoping I can settle myself down so I can come home this afternoon and have a Shabbat and perhaps just read. That's what I said.
Lovely. So it's actually helping make that alone time later more meaningful. And meaningful here too. It's great. All right. Who else? Okay, we'll go around. Dave.
So it's said that if everything's important, then nothing's important. And so I feel the same way about, God's everywhere, but if he's everywhere, he's nowhere. So having the distinctive place is key. And that for me is why I come to shul, because it's that special place.
So Dave, you may be one of the exceptions to Arnie Eisen's study. You do find God in shul. Okay, fantastic. It's helpful to have concrete spaces. All right, Joelle.
It's definitely for me a connection to my community. But I think this Shabbat being so-called a day of hate, I think it's especially important to be here.
So really to affirm who we are, what we're here for. Okay. Anyone else? Ben?
My davening during the week is usually relegated to 15 or 20 minutes in the morning, which feels very rushed. And sometimes there's kids in the background, yada, yada. And today I could slow down and there's Torah. So it's nice.
Also kids in the background, but great. It lets you slow down. Right. There you go. Okay. Yeah, Tony.
Well, the synagogue is an important part of my life for many reasons. I mean, I was married in this synagogue, not in this room because it didn't exist then, but over in the social hall. And I think it's a place, as has been said, to slow down and give yourself a chance to well, it's like meditation or something like that, and it can be very religious for some people, and maybe not quite as religious for others. But I find it very peaceful here. I also, of course, like to see people, so that's the community. And the fact that there's this day of hate, really, I don't understand how crazy that should be, but I'm glad there are people here. And also, I'm glad that we were taken care of very well by the security people in our shul. So.
Place we care for each other. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll go this way.
So not to put you on the spot, but I actually come to hear the rabbis expound on the Torah portion, in addition to a lot of the other things that have already been said. So thank you.
Thank you, Louise.
So one thing that talking about physical space is sitting here makes me think back to all the other synagogues I've been in, how I grew up in a synagogue, with the school that I went to, and all the. In fact, Truma is my bar mitzvah. I didn't even know it was today, but here I am. But learning that and being in that space and thinking of the people that I knew back then and now and into the future, hopefully, so on. So the physical space brings all that back to mind. It's very warm and comforting.
Beautiful. Okay, I think we'll take one more with Mark. Oh, okay, Mark and Barbara. Great.
So one of the ways that I connect with God is through nature, and obviously, in this room, the way I do it is if you stand at a certain location when the sun is out, you can actually see the sun shining right on your face on any Shabbat morning. You just have to know where to stand.
Beautiful. And that window is also a nice view there. Okay. So Mark comes because he knows where to find the sunshine. Okay. All right. We'll do Sandra, and Barbara. Great.
Okay. Coming to synagogue to me is who I am. Coming to synagogue to me is who I am. I grew up going to synagogue every Shabbat with my family. It's like keeping kosher. It's like, it's my inner side. You just meditate, you think, you look, but it's the most important part of my life.
Beautiful. It's who you are. Okay, Barbara.
I just find communal prayer really meaningful. And it's hard for me to articulate a belief in God or that it's God that's here. But there is something spiritual, community connecting, comforting, familiar to me. I've done this all my life about communal prayer and communal prayer on Shabbat. And it's hard to imagine a life without it, and I was thinking about the years, the COVID years where, I made my office or my downstairs rec room into my shul and tried to create that experience. And, how recent it was that we didn't have this. And to be back here and to have the comfort of Shabbat is just really meaningful to me.
Very precious. Thank you all. And we can continue thinking about this. It's a nice kiddish conversation. And I hope this has been thought provoking for all of us. It's really beautiful to hear all of these different reasons, these different nuances of what brings people here together. With all of our different reasons, this place clearly connects us. And it connects us to ourselves. It connects us to each other. It connects us to Jews around the world. It connects us to Jews across time. The synagogue, like the Mishkan, is a place of connection. And I think Barbara really articulated beautifully how much we really need that, especially right now. Part of what was so meaningful for me about my experience on that frozen lake, it wasn't just the sense of awe that I had at being in such a pristine and stunning place. It was also the opportunity to gather and take note of that beauty in a Jewish way. I was in the middle of nowhere, but connected not only to the group I was with, but also to our tradition. I want to conclude with a line from The Jew Within, which is the book that contains that study that Dr. Eisen co-authored. The synagogue is not the main arena of Jewish life for most moderately affiliated Jews, nor is it the place in which they tend to seek or find God. It is, however, the place where each of us, I'm paraphrasing, each of us can have our own time, alone, but also in community. We remain the selves we are while attached to generations and millennia. This is a precious sanctuary indeed. Shabbat Shalom.